So we have with the man himself, Kershawn Edwards of Total Sport. Kershawn, a draw today, a good performance, end of the road. But how are you feeling about the match today and in general?
I think obviously it's disappointing not to go to the World Cup. Obviously we needed a victory, but I don't like. I feel like I can't almost feel bad because I think it was predictable. I think even this being our best game, I don't think it was just down to the players playing well and all these things. I think it was the best team that we saw from Dwight York. I saw I think Justin Garcia, Kobe Henry. I think that was the best pairing that we have had. That was the first time we saw a solid pairing. I think even Payne on the right hand side, as much as sometimes I would have found like defensively he could have been better. I think there was a great defensive performance from him. Uh, I think even the midfield, sometimes we would have said that the midfield is a bit open, but even I mean, I don't say it's a risk, but I think a bit defensive, but I think he went for some physicality in the midfield. I think that made the difference, but I think we made us solid. I think even if we had to be better, I think like I can't knock it. I can't knock it because it worked. But probably bring on Molino a little earlier, maybe right after the goal scored, because the energy did dip there. But this was the best team that Dwight did feel. As even some mistakes, I don't know, but I think Nathaniel James on the left hand side doesn't have the impact that he has through the middle. So I probably would have liked to see Real Gil maybe. And the fans have been calling for Levi to be on the right side for the beginning of since the campaign started, and we saw when Levi was on the right side, every time he picked up the ball, it was a goal threat. In fact, Jamaica, every time he picked up the ball, had to foul him, and that's probably what we didn't do with their goal. So, all in all, I think it is is disappointing. The rate of growth is disappointing. However, there was growth, and that's something we haven't seen in the last 15 years. So, as much as I think Dwight's scouting is probably better than his coaching, but I think this is pretty is encouraging. At least there's growth. At least there's something to talk about. So, I mean, a lot of persons would say call for his head, all those kinds of things. I'm not fully Dwight in, but I think unless we get an international coach, I think it's best to stick with him. Unless we get a proven international coach that will cost a proven amount of money, I think we good with Dwight, and it's encouraging to see the at least we saw progress, and at least we saw things working out. You don't know what goes into a coach's mind, because fans always complain about why coaches don't do these things, but maybe there's a lot behind the scenes. But to get this team to where they are, I think is progress. So that's it's progress. So that's really the feeling.
Agreed. Well said as well. Now you mentioned Molino. Just last week you messaged me and told me Molino is the most important player for Trinidad.
You know, he's the best player in Trinidad and Tobago. He's the best player in Trinidad and Tobago for sure.
So he came on today and equalized. And you mentioned that maybe he came on a bit too late. Is that your thought? You think he should have started? You think he should have come on as the second half started?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because, and I think in Trinidad we don't recognize Molino as our best player. I think in general we do a poor job of recognizing when people are good. And like even at the TTPFL, we see in defense force Molino, when he's on the field, he literally takes control of every game that he's on, and even when he's with the national team, all good comes from Molino. So I mean, maybe folks might feel that he's a bit slow, maybe he's a liability defensively. However, if you look at the game at Molino, most of the time he doesn't give away the ball. I can't remember a time where Molino has been caught lacking. Maybe the issue with Molino is that if you have to play him, you might have to drop a Daniel Phillip to the defensive next to Rampasad, and we see gaps there. However, I say I'm big up to Jaren Jackie. I think again, I think props to York scouting as well. Even though people who know Jackie would know Jackie, but it's good to see him in the team, and I think a Rampasad and a Jackie would have been pretty solid next with Molino there. So, and I would even give him more freedom, give him freedom to work with Levi. I think that's what we don't see. Levi having freedom, Molino having freedom. We're linking up with Sealy, the Spicers. So maybe that's something that we could work on, because I think there's more than enough talent in the team. But yeah, definitely Molino is our best player. And at this rate, Molino, I wouldn't be surprised if the next 4 years Molino is our best player if he keeps fit still.
And finally, you mentioned the next 4 years. Seeing the foundation that we kind of built now in this year since the Unity Cup Gold Cup qualifying. Do you think we have almost a equal as good chance to qualify for next year's World Cup? Bearing in mind, you still have to fight it with the USA and so. But if we build from this, what we've seen here, do you think we could be ready to push for another campaign?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think you have to start to build to the future. So the next 4 years, you'll obviously think of, well, York has already pretty much phased out Marvin Phillips, who I feel still is our best player and should have been best keeper and should have been playing, even though, and yeah, I know Smithy, the youth and all these things, but in a World Cup year, it's not about preparing for the future. In a World Cup year, you pick the best players that could walk on the field. It's nothing about, like, Marvin is not going to drop down next year. So, but you have to think about him. Denzel has been good, even though I think Marvin better. Denzel has been good. You have to think about Molino as well. He would probably be moved on. Rampasad might be older as well, but I think we do have a pretty good foundation. I'm hoping you'll see the Sealeys, the Spicers, the Jackies would be there, the Henrys, the Justin Garcias. You hope the Raymonds. So the core of the team should be there with your hope. Molly Khan coming in, Nathy having a little more exposure, the Real Girls, Dante Gilbert, who we saw missing, Rio Cardines. So I think it's a good thing. I think what the main thing is we have to keep these guys together. I think what we did notice is that these guys need time together. We saw the better play when they had more time, a longer break. So we have to do better in terms of managing the guys when they are with their clubs. I mean, technology is endless, so that shouldn't be an issue. But we know things are in Trinidad. So I think we have a pretty good core. If I'm being cynical, I wouldn't be surprised that next year when we start back, we start saying, where are these players? Why this man not playing again? It might be that whole thing. York may not be even be the coach, those kinds of things for 4 years. So, I mean, I think it's an administrative thing, but we do have the talent, and I think next year, if we don't qualify based on this team, it would be like, it's administrative things, because we can't build on what this is here, and we have enough talent.